Introduce yourself and tell us how long you've been kayak fishing.
All right. I'm Gregg Fritchey. I started 2021.
Do you remember your first event?
Yeah, I do. It was KBF Trail at Lake Murray.
How did you do in that
Yeah,
one?
I jumped. I didn't really know what was going on, so I just jumped right in, and I actually had no clue. And so these were lakes that were either on my bucket list or intrigued me. And, I was rookie Bob and I had a kayak and I'm retired and away I went. And it was the beginning of a learning experience because I don't know, it was intriguing, but I had no idea, like maybe a tenth of what I was actually getting myself into as far as competing goes. I figured, I always do fairly good. I mean, I didn't think I was going to win it or anything, but I had no idea how good these guys were. I had no idea how different water required different things. I had no idea, to watch for the wind, currents, clear water, dirty water, the shallow end of the lake. Just jumped right in. And so, but I kind of took the, I'll figure it out as I go route. I suppose looking back on it, I wouldn't do it, the same now. That's for sure.
Have you fished your whole life?
Oh, I was a live bait fisherman, and the kayaks was something totally different. Luckily, I think it was Lake Murray. I have a buddy in Florida, Daryl, and he's pretty good, and so he kind of guided me and helped me navigate things. It was kind of wild because we both had Kia Souls and we pulled up to the same launch ramp, and that's kind of what initiated our involvement, and ended up fishing. I guess it was 2021 as well. Ended up going to the Cato championship, but no, I kind of started off, jumping right in both feet, and just learned slowly that there was so much that I needed to learn. And then I was born in California. Lived in Arkansas for a while, moved to Michigan. So I've only been up here, I think 10, maybe 11 years. So I didn't really know anyone. Looking back, I wished I would have joined a local club. I have got more enjoyment and more knowledge from the local club. And it just so happens, I think it's probably, um, if not the best, but one of the best clubs in the whole United States, friendly. No, I ended up 2021. I fished Pickwick, Underwood. I actually was looking when you wanted me to do this. Looking back, I was really surprised at all the places I'd fished. I actually finished 45th in Candlewood, and Ken Wood finished 47th. But
Yeah.
I didn't at the time. We both only got one fish, but yeah, it's I really consider myself lucky to be involved with MAKB. It's not only a great group of guys. I mean, Anthony and all the guys I fish against, and Torrance. It's just great. The time we had before fishing at the launch ramp was just incredible. And then you get in your car and you go home and you don't see anybody again. It would be nice if we all lived closer and got together more. But it was very, very awesome. And basically that's how I learned the different ways of fishing. My first kayak, I bought a
Oh,
Malone trailer and it had two 10-foot kayaks on them, and they weren't very good. And then actually on my anniversary in 2020, we've been married 40 years, and in May we went to Kittery, and I seen this Old Town 136 and ended up buying it. And so I had one in 2020. I actually think I got one of the first ones. The serial number was like 000200. So I think I got like the 200th one. Basically, not being from here and not being sure about the clubs. I fished a lot of the monthly challenges with KBF. And then shortly after they disbanded, I think is the first time I joined MAKB. And which I think was in 2023. And that's where really the learning curve started because it's a very involved sport and it's a very fun sport. I mean, you can take it as far as you want, or I'm pretty competitive and I kind of went about it the wrong way. I don't really regret any of it because, I didn't expect to win, and it was kind of cool being a part of KBF and driving in a parking lot with 200 trailers and kayaks, and it, it was almost inspirational. It was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it, but it didn't help the learning curve. I remember Daryl is the first one that really helped me, and I was pretty much a wacky rig and a drop shot person for a long time, and then slowly branched out. I figured, there was everybody throwing spinner baits, chatter baits, and a lot of these lakes are small and you're following people and you're seeing them throw these spinner baits and chatterbaits. And so it made sense to throw something different. And not being a patient person, for some reason, I have patience with the wacky rig and the drop shot, and I could go behind them, and catch a few fish. And then I started catching a few more. But like a lot of fishermen, I kind of got comfortable with that genre and didn't branch out. And so I've been working on that, trying to do different things. But really have enjoyed it. And sorry MAKB went bad. I'm friends with Ken and learned a lot from him. It was wild because every time I would get close to beating him or something and he would beat me and I'd say afterwards, what were you doing? He's like, trash fishing. Like,
Mm.
really? You're awfully good at trash fishing, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he
So,
switches it up at the end of the events. He doesn't. The last like 2 hours, he just junk fishes.
man, he is like,
Maybe that's why he does so well towards the end of the tournaments.
it's amazing. He'd go around the lake like 3 times. I'd be sitting in one spot, and yeah, I was kind of inspired by him because it was like totally black and white from what I was doing. And I'm like, well, he doesn't have spot lock. He's continual on the move, and he was such a happy person to be around. Man, he really inspired me. We kind of hit it off right off the bat. It was just, always when he was on the water, it was always just lighthearted, and it was really cool. And so
So, how did you feel when MAKB closed?
I was really sad, but I know Ken, and there was some things going on, with him. He has a family. I have grandkids. I could only imagine being a father and not only running a tournament, but actually fishing in it and actually doing well. Actually, for the most part, just a total positive person and a great person to be around. So I kind of understood that it took a lot of time away from his family. And, he did have help, Patrick, Anthony, in this part. A lot of the other personnel I don't really know that well, but it was a load for him. So, I was sad, but I couldn't really blame him because, it's got to take up all of your day, So, yeah, I was really sad, but I also kind of understood the reasoning kind of behind it. Who knows? Well, maybe he'll do it again someday because he really put together a oiled machine when it came to tournaments. Like him or hate him or whatever, he really he did a great job. Once I realized that I didn't know hardly anything, I started fishing a lot of east and a few west, and just to get used to going to different places. And it was wild because when I got the closer to the ocean, it got really even different from where I'm at. And so that was kind of bad at first, but then it's like, well, you gotta adapt and learn and get used to all of these rocks being 30, 40, 50 feet out from the bank because I was kind of a bank fisherman with my drop shot, wacky rig, spinner bait occasionally, but did really well with the wacky rig actually, and not too bad with the drop shot, but it made me kind of break out of my routine. So I fished a lot of tournaments outside of the north. And a lot of the Thursday night or Tuesday night throwdowns. So, yeah, MAKB, it's hard because I'm retired and it's hard to find somebody that has the time or the desire to travel like that. I know Dale Hollow, Ken and I was supposed to we had a house rented for that one, and, I think 1 or 2 other gentlemen, and then his car broke down, and so I ended up in a four-bedroom place on Dale Hollow by myself, but, the biggest part I would think is, for me, if I had a partner to go with, someone to talk to on a two-day trip, and just, somebody to go over things, to break down stuff, share ideas, things like that, but I don't mind. I mean, to me, these are really great events, and it's just great to be a part of them. This last one, actually, I went to the native big bass catch 'em all thing in December 6th, I believe, of 2025. That was on Toho. Ended up, I'm staying in a tent in the KOA. It was only like 6 miles from Big Toho Marina. And, if that hadn't have been a 14-inch limit or minimum, I would have done really well there. I caught a ton of fish and 5 and about I don't know, a lot of fish that were, between 12 and 13.75. So when I went back, um, I thought, I'm not gonna go to Kissimmee or Tiger or Cypress. I feel, I need to, without the ability of a bass boat to travel long distances, I said, I feel that breaking this lake down and staying in this certain area would be to my benefit. Going back, I left actually 2 days early because there was an ice storm. And so I had to scramble around and leave on Friday. I was going to leave on Monday or Sunday. So I got there 2 days early and ended up staying in the tent because it was 25 degrees and 28 degrees 2 different nights with a, extreme wind blowing. So I didn't get to fish until Monday and didn't do very good. I was really surprised. Didn't do good Tuesday. Wednesday had a few bites, and then Thursday I caught like a 7 pounder, 2 5 pounders, and I had switched up my baits to a speed worm, a 10-inch speed worm with a small 16-ounce weight. Caught those 3 fish within like 50 yards of each other. And so then Friday, I for once felt that I might actually have a pattern. I thought, wow, they're either spawning or something. So Friday I went out a little bit deeper and used the live scope and tried to find some fish and found brush piles and things, but couldn't get any bites. So that was a little disappointing. Come Saturday, things totally changed again and ended up catching I think 13, and then Sunday a 12, ended up 159th. And I'll tell you what, misery doesn't love company when it comes to fishing tournaments because there were, I think, close to 60 people that didn't catch any fish over the 2-day period. But it that does not make you feel any better. I can
No, but it
attest.
also makes you feel better you did not skunk.
Well, that's kind of a small consolation because I had just talked to, I think it's Ryan and his dad, like the day before, and then he ends up winning it. And come to find out, he was really close to the area that I was fishing in Big Toho Marina. It really makes me feel that learning how to read water, learning fish behavior. I think a lot of the people that were down there that got skunked or didn't catch a limit were perfectly capable of catching fish. I think that when you put 5 lakes and it just messes with your mind, you're either going to go search or you're going to stay in one area. And when you have weather like that, it really takes a toll on you because I think normally your process of where you're going to fish would probably be adequate. But when you have a cold front comes in, and I'm pretty sure Miami had a record broken and Orlando had a record broken for cold weather. And it just does something to the fish, even though it was like 5 or 6 days after those really cold days of when the tournament started. So if anything, I would like to be able to do that more. I feel that there's always 15 or 20 of those top people Derek, Matt, Ken,
Oh yeah.
that somehow or
Yeah.
another they're able to just figure out where to go. And they are better fishermen than I am too. But I think a lot of it has to do with, you can't catch a fish that's not there. And when you're in a big body of water like that, you better be able to find the fish. And, I really wish there was a book out there on how to do that.
Do you think, so competing locally and nationally, what do you think the biggest challenge that you face when you do the national events versus the local?
Well, for one thing, a lot of them are in the South. There's a whole different bait selection. There's a whole different, I mean, Florida's different even than the rest of them, but like when I lived in Arkansas, a lot of it was reservoirs. They would let water out. They would let a lot of water out or a little water out, and it would create a tournament, or I mean a current, and it would give anglers that fish that kind of somewhat of an idea of what to do. And you don't have that up here. Everything up here is a lot of natural ponds or lakes. So it's it's a different mindset. And then even these local tournaments, I mean, there might be 30 people and it might be a small lake, but it's just one lake. You go down there and have a choice of 30 launch ramps on 5 lakes, and in your heart that there's going to be 2 or 3 of them after a weather front comes through like that, that's going to be more applicable to fish behavior. But there really isn't a way, especially fishing by yourself, you don't even have a buddy to talk to that he tried this lake. Or I have a few friends. Paul, he's from New York, Daryl, and then he's real good friends with Mitch, I think, he has a YouTube channel, Chris Mitchell. And so, they're used to it, and they didn't finish that great, but you know, it, um, it's a lot different when, I won quite a few of the monthly challenges, and I just happened to be close to Mascuppa. I mean, I'm like 3 minutes from there. And that has it did, at least 15 to 20 bass that were over 5 pounds. And I caught actually one there that was 6'3", and I caught a 23-incher out of there. And I can remember Anthony and Patrick saying that they had went there a lot, and for some reason that lake was a real standout lake. So not knowing that gave me kind of a false sense that I kind of knew a little more of what I was doing than I actually did. But there's no comparison between your local lakes and it just being one lake and very, very small compared to 5 really, really big lakes.
Mhm.
So you really have to, I feel, to discipline yourself, and you have to have some kind of information to go by, because otherwise, especially in Kissimmee and Toho, dude, everything looks fishy. I'm serious. I mean, and I talked to him enough that my buddy kept saying, look, man, you're going to see all of this grass, all of these buggy whips, all of this. And he's like, you're going to want to pick out, like if there's a green patch in the middle of it, that's where the fish is going to be. Well, I mean, you can go for miles and not see that, or you can see that. So, and they all have their differences, Lake Murray, Caddo, so you definitely have to do your research, but it's not the same as fishing locally for
Mhm.
5 months, because you're limited on your time, you're limited on how fast you can go with a kayak. And even the launch ramps that you pick, I feel, are almost as important as being a quality fisherman, because you can't catch them if they're not there.
Right.
I don't care what kind of bait you have. So when you have a cold front move in like that and all the fish migrate towards a certain area, you need to know that.
Mm.
I would say that would be probably the most hard thing that you would figure out, because you can spread yourself too thin, or you can stay in an area thinking you're going to break it down, which I did. And then catching those 3 really big fish, which I didn't put the last one on Facebook, because when I looked, I'm like, well, man, that's kind of dumb. You're showing everybody where the heck you are. What are you doing? Because all this grass and I'm in 2 foot of water, and I'm thinking, wow, got kind of caught up in the moment and wasn't thinking straight here. Not that anybody of importance watches me anyway, but no, and at the end of the day, I mean, if I had to win, to have fun, I would have quit a long time ago. So I'm just really happy to be a part of a big thing like KBF was. And then I really wished I would have joined MAKB a lot sooner. I was a little intimidated not being from here. And looking back, if I had any regrets, I guess that would be it. Because there's not only a lot of great people and friends, even though we live far away and we don't hang out, but when we come together at the launch ramps, it's like we've known each other for 15 years, so I was real happy I know Torrance has started one and Ari and Jerome. Much as I miss MAKB, I think they're going to pick up the torch and they seem to be working well together. Seems to be no conflict. I mean, I think we might miss a half a step, but I don't think we're going to miss much. I think, I think all of us are going to be able to enjoy fishing, as much as I am sad about it. I'm really thankful that these guys picked the torch up, and I think it's going to be a great season.
Do you put any expectations on yourself this year when you travel nationally or doing the local events? Do you ever like set goals and put expectations on yourself?
I've just started to. I feel I'm not quite over the hill, but I can see the top of the hill now. Whereas before, not so much. Situations like what just happened in Florida is kind of off the charts as far as you're controlling Mother Nature getting down and breaking records because, 30 degrees or 40 down there, the fish, they go hide, But that's kind of why, I'm just talked to Daryl and he's thinking on going to Caddo and I just don't want to go by myself. 1,600 miles one way, but we actually stayed together there. I don't know, it was 20. But if he goes, I'm planning on going, and I've already booked. I have a reservation for a place to stay at Santee Cooper, which is weird because there's no Lake Santee Cooper. It's Marion and Moultrie or something like that. One of them is really shallow and has over 1,000 alligators that they've counted, and it's kind of oh boy, not thrilled about that. And it's huge. So there again, picking out a launch ramp, picking out the time of year that either the fish are in the north end or the south end of the lake or whether they're deep. Those things concern me because kind of in the dark on that, I think ideally if could, and I think you have to do it a month out, but I think you could rent a guide and some of these really big lakes, like Murray or most all of them,
Mm.
I believe that not having, 10 or 15 friends or staying with, Christine Fisher and Derek Brundle, all of these guys that get together, I think, a guide might be kind of a missing link as far as, explaining to them no live bait. If we don't catch a fish with artificial bait, I'm fine with that. Just, I want to see what happens when you don't catch them and where you go. Even though it's a month out, I really think that would be helpful because you would have something to go by. Whereas when
Yeah.
you pull up there, they place all of these launch ramps and it's really hard because the fish do hang out in certain places more so than they do others. So I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, like 20, 30, 40 years ago, before the invention of YouTube and the internet, all the pros on Bassmaster, they would call bait shops, they would book guides, that was their insight onto how it was going on. Like, these anglers today, they wonder why they're like 19, 20 years old winning all these events is because they got years of knowledge just by YouTube, like
Exactly.
the amount of information that you can have access at your hands just by sitting in your house today is it's pretty incredible.
No, it is. It is. And then, actually, I'm not good at it yet, but I watch Edwin Evers a lot, and he'll go through and go back sometimes 15 years, and he'll find the lake when it's at its lowest place, and he'll see those underground places. And so then he'll write down maybe 15 spots that he can try. So, yeah, you're exactly right. There's
Google
a lot.
Earth Pro.
Yep.
So you can only open it up on a laptop or desktop. It won't work on a computer. I don't know about tablet, but yeah, Google Earth Pro. You can go back, like if you know that there was a drought in 1990, you can
Right.
go back and look, and it shows you, and that's the lowest level they had on the lake. It was
Exactly.
just another tool. Like I've looked it up on a bunch of the lakes in Massachusetts, so I use as
Yeah.
much information as possible.
Right. Yeah, and I don't feel locally it's as important because you can kind of use your I'm not saying all the knowledge is the same, but it's a lot closer than, like, say, going to Texas or going to Clear Lake in California. Those lakes have certain qualities and certain depths and certain things that if you don't do your research, and you're in a kayak, you could be wandering out there for a month and not stumble onto anything. So yeah, what you're saying is very, very an efficient tool to take somebody in a kayak that your access to parts of the lake are very limited. But even not winning, you know, uh, it's just a blast to be a part of. I know it's a lot less stress, and I understand it. The bass boat fishermen, they got $120,000 boat, $100,000 truck to pull it, $10,000 in entry fees and stay in and all that. But when you are around even 242, I think this was the second largest, other than the 254, I think it was at Lake Murray. But we don't have that. You break down, someone will pull you in. You want to
Mm.
talk to somebody. I don't think I've ran into one single person that doesn't want to talk to you and doesn't even mind sharing information. You know, what more could you ask for? You're out there doing your best and friendly people are surrounding you, and you get to look at all of the setups and all of the different kayaks and everything. I mean, I just think it's great. I have no complaints whatsoever. I mean, obviously, I would like to be able to read the lakes better, and that's coming in time.
Mm.
But it's still kinda hard, like you said, you have to go back and find sandbars or find this or that. Still doesn't tell you whether they're on the north or the south end of the lake, and when it's 25 miles difference, that can be challenging, but,
A
all
lot
in
of
all,
variables to fishing.
a lot of variables. A lot of I've learned that current and the wind blowing is the same thing. So the wind creates current. So if you're in a cove and the wind's blowing up against the bank, a lot of times the fish are going to be up there because I guess it pushes the algae and all the stuff that the other fish feed on, and then the bass are there. So, but if it was easy, it wouldn't be as intriguing to stay with it.
For sure.
Obviously, I'd like to be better, but having something to work towards is really, and I mean, I'm good enough that I don't hate my performances. I mean, I'm not coming home jumping for joy, that's for sure. But um, the people make it up for the fact that you don't win, I guess.
For sure.
There's really great people, and I've made some really good friends, and in a very short period of time, just because we have a love of fishing, we have a love of being close to the water, a love of being able to sneak in a place. And I get it all the time, when I'm at the launch ramp and I got 15 poles and there's guys walking away shaking their head. And I'm like,
To each
it
their own.
isn't for everybody. And my buddy, he bought a bass boat, and I've got more in my kayak than he's got in his uh in his bass boat. And he made fun of me for a while, and then we went out fishing, and he's like, and then I have two 136s, and I put him in one, and he's interested in live scope, and so I put him in with the Garmin 106er, and he came back the next day and he had his kid there. He's like, "Man, dude, you gotta check this out." He's like, "This is awesome." Because a lot of people, when you say kayak, they think of a 10-foot kayak with a paddle. You get a lot of strange looks at the launch ramp. You get a lot of interested people, a lot of people that are like, where did you get
Mm.
that? How do I get one? This looks really cool. So, you know, and COVID kind of pushed me into it because there weren't many things that you could do during COVID to get out and have fun and be away from people where you weren't going to get, sneezed on or whatever. So, no, I am totally thankful that I found this. Really, really thankful, more so than even the KBF tournaments that I finally joined MAKB and became a part of a community that was not only learning, but like Patrick, I talked with him. I mean, it's just a great group of guys. I don't know, for some reason, the kayak club has drawn some really, really down to earth, real people.
The community of kayak fishing is definitely one of a kind. I mean, it's like nothing I've ever experienced before. I don't mind putting my money in the pot for other people to win because I'm getting a lot out of it in return.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
That's
nice to
exactly
win. You strive for it, but
right.
a lot of hammers you got to go through in order to be at the top.
Well, in Massachusetts, I mean, between Derek and Matt, I mean, they can almost go anywhere and be in the top 10 or 15.
Yeah, John
So,
Ferreira, like it,
yes,
Anthony Campbell, and you forget about the
right,
guys in the West, like Todd Brothers, and I mean,
right, right.
unbelievable.
No,
Jeremy
it
Andrews
is.
was Angler of the Year last year.
Yeah.
We have a
Yeah,
really,
and,
really, really, really incredible group of anglers in this state.
it
I
is.
think everybody
But
feels it too. We're all,
it
kind
it
of
it
makes everybody a
does.
little bit better.
It does. It sets the bar a little bit higher, and then, when they're not looking, you can kinda go look at their kayak and see what baits they've got. Not that I would ever do that, but,
Oh, I do it all the time. I don't care. And
yeah, yeah,
I know the ones that hide it too, and I make sure I talk to
well,
them more and try to get what's
yeah,
under those covers.
right, right. Or they put a bunch of things on there that they're not ever gonna use, so
Yeah,
I
people
get
will
it.
do that.
Yeah.
So you
You know
fish in
what?
these national trails with Bassmaster. Any interest in fishing the local Mass Bass, which is connected?
You mean the new tournaments that's coming up?
Yeah, so these national trails you're in, these are sponsored by Bassmaster, a Newport Bassmaster kayak series.
Right, right.
We have a local chapter in Massachusetts called MABASS. So it's the local qualifying body for those tournaments. The MABASS, it's a little bit different format than like Ben's Tackle Shack and Ari and Torrance. It's a $100 entry fee. But if you qualify and if you're in the top 3 in the state at the end of the year, they pay you qualify for the national event in October and they pay your entry
Uh-huh.
fees. Yeah, so there's like 265. So they pay all of it. So that's, I
Okay,
mean,
I didn't know that.
I love Ari's trail. I love how it's exactly like MAKB. Great set of
Yeah,
guys. I mean, I'm really looking forward
right,
to it. Torrance offers
right.
a little something different. I
He
think people are going to
does.
be really excited about that. Ben's Tackle
Yep,
Shack's like the old one. They're kind of all across the state, but I mean, I think the MABASS is going to be the upper echelon of competition just because it's like so much more
okay,
at stake.
okay.
But yeah, you
How
should
many
look into that.
tournaments?
The first event of the year, and we have a lot of good events that we picked.
Uh-huh.
We got Johns, Tully, Nada, Holbrook, Webster, Charles River, Manchug, Cohitchuit, and then our championship is it's going to be a little weird. Our championship's in August, just because by September 1st we have to submit the names of our top 10%. So we say 3. So if there's 30 anglers, the top 10% make it. So if we have 3 anglers that qualify for the national championship, we have to give those names by September 1st.
Okay.
So like that puts our championship right in the middle of August, which kind of feels weird for New England because
Yeah,
MAKB's in late September, early October, and every other one's in September, October. But I guess it's kind of good because you can qualify for 2 of them. Like you can
yeah,
get your championship in the middle of August when it's real hot, and then you can
right.
qualify for another one in September or October. Do you have any interest in fishing any of those events?
Yes, this is the first time I've heard of them. Are they, following, Torrance's line of rules or more Ari's, which was MAKB is forward-facing sonar and probably not 2 motors, but
Right. So no 2 motors, but definitely every electronics, you can have all of it. It's the only
right.
restriction is no 2 motors. And it has to be a kayak. We're finalizing all of the information to join this year and all of our rules and stuff like that. So I know it's going live today, but my phone's been blowing up. So
Okay,
look it up. It's called Matt. I
I
can
will.
share it with you.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm very interested in that.
The MABASS is kind of identical to Ari and Gerard's, but again, there's just no 2 motors. That would probably
Yeah,
be the biggest difference. And the entry fees is going to be $100, and also at the same time, you're going to have to you already have it because you need your Bassmaster ID number.
yeah, I have that.
You also need your Mass Bass ID. And then we're having club dues for us because we're associated with Bassmaster, we have to have insurance. I'm confident no other trails have insurance in the state.
Right, I mean, that's why you have insurance because, they call them accidents because you don't know they're gonna happen, and then to have your, whole organization under scrutiny or closed down or a death in a family where somebody's blaming you or something, you're on your own without insurance, so that would be tough.
Is there anything in your mind that you would see as success for 2026 for you?
Well, like I said, I feel good about this year. I feel more adequate with even going off to these different places. So, I mean, I'm really positive about it. If it doesn't happen, then I'm still going to be happy. But I talk to Ken a lot. I got the other side of it. I'm sitting here in one cove. He's going around the lake 3 times. I've tried to incorporate that into my fishing. You can't be a one-trick pony and go to all these places. So, I mean, I'm working really hard to become a better fisherman. I accept the fact of who I am and what I am. It doesn't bother me. I mean, you can only do what you can do. But being part of MAKB has really enlightened me, just like Patrick. Patrick might only catch 3 fish a day, but they're going to be big fish. Anthony, he's different in a different way. Well, after a couple of years of, and Taurus and all of us, you get to share that. And, it helps build, it helps you build, I don't know if character is the right word, but, it helps you to realize that, you need to branch out. And so yeah, I feel this year, I mean, I have a shot. I'm very determined. I can't help what I don't know. I'm still learning. Luckily, I'm surrounded by a bunch of people, and it's nice to, I'm friends with Matt, and I know Derek even well enough that if I had a question, I could call him. These people are, you know, hammers. It's great to be able to be in contact with it, and none of them would mind. I mean, you couldn't bug them every day, but if you have a real legitimate question, it's nice to be surrounded by people that have this really great knowledge and are able to go to Texas, they're able to go to all these places and still do well. And I'm so envious of that. And I know it came from seat time and working, and it wasn't just handed to them. But being a part of our clubs around here, I think is really great. So there's always, it's like a scratch off. There's always a chance you're gonna win it. So and I enjoy myself even when I don't. Like I said, people are so nice. I wish I had a travel buddy. So if anybody's going to Cato that's listening to this, and but yeah, that I'm hopeful. I mean, I'm very competitive. It's not that I'm not trying. Just sometimes Mother Nature throws a monkey wrench in it. Sometimes you just miss it. You have good intentions. You do your homework. It's also what makes the sport so great. So I mean, but yeah, I have to be positive because if I go into it thinking that I'm not, then I've already lost.
Yeah, you got to believe in yourself first before
You
anybody else
do.
can believe in you.
You do. But it's nice being a part of an organization like this and being able to call Ken or text Ken. And, that's invaluable. You can't buy that. So I'm
Couple of
very,
weeks
very,
before Cato, you should post on. I'm sure the local trail groups wouldn't care, but post on their pages and say, "Hey, heading out to Cato in April. Anybody else heading down looking to
right,
because like I know other people that are going down.
right.
I think Cato, Jeremy Andrews and Todd Brothers are traveling down, so that might be
Yeah.
something to look into.
Yeah. And the other young man that was on your program, he's going, that's in the high
Bobby
school
Tran.
or the college, Bobby Tran.
Yeah, he's down in Tennessee, so he'll be traveling from Tennessee. Yeah, so
Okay.
he's on. He does it with his school. So his school,
Yeah.
he travels with He's got 6 guys on his kayak team for his school. He travels with all them. His school pays his entry fee, and it's just man. I
It's
wish I was
awesome.
wish I was 19 again.
I know.
Just
I know.
graduating high school today.
I
Like you got the
know.
Ewing Miners and like all these dudes are just coming out of high school, dominating, then going right into the pros, and it's
I know.
pretty remarkable the level of talent today.
Yeah, and they're really tech savvy. I mean, some of us older guys, we're lucky to be able to use Facebook, let alone all of this stuff that goes through.
You can still find information on Facebook to fish, though.
Yes, you can. And at the end of the day, it's all about happiness and camaraderie. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of this, Massachusetts and even New Hampshire and Judith and John, and there's some other, I think Chris Schultz. There's just a bunch of hammers. We're in a really good area.
For
And
sure.
coming from the south, my cousin was always kidding me, "Oh, those fish up there are bait fish." And so I looked, and the record for Arkansas was like 16.4, and the record for Massachusetts was like 15.7. I text him back, I'm like, dude, everybody always thinks, smallmouth up north and no big largemouth, but I'm like, that's not true. Our big, big largemouth up here.
Yeah, there's only 3 or 4 states you can go with a reasonable chance of catching a double-digit bass. Outside of
Exactly.
that, I mean, Massachusetts, you catch an 8. I don't care if the state record's 15. If you catch an
That's
8,
true.
that's,
You're
I mean,
doing
huge. I have
it
never
is.
heard of a 10-pounder being caught in the state, like at
No,
all. Not in
no,
competition. Bruce Levy's 23-inch fish in MAKB was 8.7. Like that's the highest I've heard. But yeah, I mean, again, it's the level playing field. You get on, no matter what lake you're on, everybody's fishing for the same group of fish. Levels the playing field.
no,
I would be more hesitant to do an online tournament where I'm fishing in Massachusetts waters going against somebody in Texas, Florida, and California waters. Like that's not an even playing field.
no, it isn't. It isn't.
Yeah,
No,
but
Texas, go ahead.
I was gonna say part of the reason why those trails don't come up northeast is because those guys in the south don't know how to fish in the cold.
Yeah, that used to bother me. I even had phone calls with Chad. I'm like, why don't you bring your happy ass up here, buddy? You
Yeah,
know,
Pennsylvania and Virginia, and the only reason they go to New York is because they can't deny the St. Lawrence River, and there's
or
a
Lake
few,
Champlain.
yeah,
Right,
Champlain, like there's a few lakes you just can't deny it. They're
right,
top fisheries in the country. But
right.
outside of that, Winnipesaukee, I mean, think about it. There's never been a real big trail that's come up here outside of KBF. Bassmaster, they'll never go and do an event on the Charles. They'll never do that. Those guys in the South would never come up to New England to do
No,
an event. It is
no.
unfortunate, but you know what? That's what makes it even more better when we travel and we go down there and kick their ass.
Oh, I know, I know. And one thing, on that thought that I don't understand, I think maybe, I mean, Bassmaster is big, and I don't understand how anybody would go to California. I'm like, man, you need a east and a west because even Texas, as much as I would love to go to Texas, that's just not feasible. Even being retired, I'm not, hell, I'd have to fly and have somebody have a kayak out to California. I mean, so, or even the people that wanted to compete and only having the California event and having all these events back here, you're not going to be in the AOI or any of that. So I really don't understand the thinking behind that. But you know, and having 240 anglers at each event warrants some really consideration to maybe having an east and a west where really there's some throwouts. Yeah, so that makes it better. But
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 no, you're
yeah,
right. There should be regionals. I can't drive to California to do an event. There's
oh
no
my
way.
God. I don't think anybody could. Texas would be pushing it, and I'd love to go there, I mean, I watched Ben Milliken and all this, he catches a 5-pounder, he's like, blah, blah,
Right, right. Yeah,
and, yeah.
nonchalantly. You see
Yep.
Damien Tao's fish?
I haven't, no.
Oh, you gotta look it up. 1875. Absolute insane. It was a lake record out in California at the place that he was on, but he caught it on a weekend and nobody at Fish and Wildlife was open. So
Oh, so he couldn't.
he put the fish in a buddy's bass boat and they drove it to a bait shop to get measurements, but
Yeah,
that disqualified it. You can't take the fish from the lake. You're
without,
supposed to bring the scale to the lake.
yes,
But
yes.
18, he tells the whole story. You should look it up. Damien Tao.
That's crazy.
Jacob Stem reposted the story. I mean, I don't know if you
I
watch
know, I s
Greg Blanchard.
oh, yeah, I
Follow
watch
Greg?
him a lot.
Yeah,
Yes,
Greg's always competing against him, and I mean that dude's just an absolute animal.
yes.
His
Yeah, and
accolades are like through the roof.
he comes back to, Lake Cayuga and a few places like that. I got to fish that last year, and
Cayuga.
that was kinda cool.
Yeah, we got a place for 8 days, 7 full days, 8 nights. We check in Saturday morning, check out Sunday night. We're doing there's 6 of us. We got 2 houses. There's either 7 or 8 houses apart. It's up in the Northern Cove past the trestle on the eastern side. Jim Silva's going, Jim Patterson, Connor Reevy, one of Connor's buddies and one of my buddies.
Nice.
Yeah, we tried to get like a 4-bedroom house, but Jesus, the money they want, like 5, 6 grand. It's just, we're all
Wow.
adults, like we don't want to. I mean, I'm 45. I don't want to sleep in a bunk bed, like I snore and I just, I'd rather pay a little bit extra. So we're just at sitting at an hour and five. And this was great. I got a lot of good clips from you.
Oh, well, good, good.
I'm going to
I
put
wasn't
this
sure
up.
how this.
Yeah, this one's going to be up today. I'll have this
Well,
up
cool.
tonight by like 6 or 7.
Okay.
Hey, next time you're traveling, I was going to say this, but next time you go to Cato or anything like that, I'd love to have you
Uh-huh.
back on again. We can talk about same exact thing, like what
Yeah.
your expectations going down is
Right.
and what happened down there.
Love
And
to.
yeah,
Yeah. Love
anybody
to
that
talk to you.
travels from Mass to those national tournaments, they come back on. I mean, it gives me something to talk about in more episodes. But at the same
Yeah.
time,
Outside the state.
I mean, I want to hear, like, I'm asking questions that I just want to hear, like, and I feel like people want to hear the questions. Like, I want to know how you guys did down in Kissimmee, like I'm living vicariously through all you five.
Yeah. It's, no matter what you do, it's really just great to be a part of it, to be honest with you. I mean, at least for me, it's a lot bigger than I am. And just to be a small part of it, no, it is totally amazing. And yeah, you doing this is kind of a way of connecting all of us together that wouldn't normally have any way to do this. So yeah, very appreciative to you for coming up with this and providing information that normally just wouldn't be out there because you can't live in different parts of the state and communicate with people, especially if you're from out of the state. And I'm like you, I've only been doing this for 5 years, so don't have that 15-year experience when people were talking together more and know each other for all this long period of time. So kudos to you and hope the best for your success on this channel. And hopefully I'll see you out on the water now that we're a little more familiar.
Well, I hope to see you at that winner's circle. We'll have you back on and we can talk all about it again.
All right.
Hey,
Okay.
Greg, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. This was great.
Yeah, it was very nice meeting you, and I look forward to seeing you as well. So you have
Yes,
a
sir.
great day.
We'll catch up on the water soon.
All right, buddy.
All right, bud.